Okay, whatever. It's hard to even really be. He's not going to win. Look at, he couldn't even knock out Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz is 40 pounds. How's he going to knock me out? What's the other guy? Anderson Silva. He didn't knock those little guys. How's he going to knock me out?
Mike Tyson has hit the roof and fired back at Jake Paul after his latest verbal jabs at the boxing legend. Even though this epic bout has been postponed to November 15th, this matchup is far from being bland. With Jake constantly poking the bear by taking shots at Iron Mike, the boxing legend's brutal responses have the entire fight world talking. An angry Mike Tyson isn't a man you'd want to mess up with. It looks like Jake has dug his own grave and there's no way out. So how did we get here? Let's break it all down. Now, if you ask me, Jake's the culprit and he shot himself in the foot by picking a bone with Mike Tyson. Oh, you're not up to speed? Sit tight, I've got the whole scoop for you. Jake Paul entered the boxing scene in January 2020 against Anderson Gibb. After coming out on top in his debut, Jake picked up a series of wins against retired basketball players and MMA fighters, such as Nate Robinson, Tyron Woodley, Anderson Silva, and Ben Askren. This was the start of the Jake Paul hype train. But here's the thing. His fans were far from real boxing fans, and it was actually his YouTube audience that followed him to the sport. Real boxing fans knew that it was too early to call Jake a real pro boxer. So when the athlete revealed he had his eyes set on the one true legend, Mike Tyson, it rubbed everyone the wrong way. Jake has made a name for himself by calling out big names and stirring the pot, but going after Iron Mike was just a tad bit too much. Tyson initially laughed off Jake's challenge, but fast forward to now, these rivals are set to settle the score at AT&T Arena in Arlington, Texas on November 15th. Well, Jake's taunts continued, and it became clear that this wasn't just a publicity stunt for him. He genuinely wanted to put up gloves against Mike Tyson, and that's when things started heating up. Mike's fed up with the whole influencer boxing scene, and he doesn't want a bunch of YouTube kids to take over the sport. Come on, influencer boxing is taking away the true beauty of boxing, and the legend has had enough. He's taken an oath to finish Jake Paul in the ring and put a stop to the rise of influencer boxing. The fight world is backing Iron Mike up. Everyone's sick of the problem child posing as a legitimate boxer, and that too only after going up against retired athletes. The only legit boxer he has ever fought was Tommy Fury. And look at how that turned out. There's no denying that Jake's got some serious punch power, but is it enough to put him in the same ring as Mike Tyson? Now, we all know Mike, right? He's the former heavyweight champion known as the baddest man on the planet for a reason. He's a freaking legend who has redefined boxing multiple times throughout his career. You can't really hate this man after all he has done for the sport. On the other hand, you have a newbie YouTuber going after 57-year-old Mike Tyson to cement his status as a serious boxer in the game. Now, Mike's going to be 58 by the time these two step into the ring, and that's something you can't ignore. The boxing legend has been taking the upcoming fight pretty easy, but Jake has made him lose his chill. He's about to regret this real soon. Unless you've been living under a rock, I'm sure you know that Jake and Mike were originally scheduled to step into the ring on July 20th. However, due to Mike's health emergency, this fight fell into jeopardy. Jake took no time in replacing Mike for the July fight night and announced Mike Perry as his new opponent. Well, now Iron Mike is pissed and he's losing his cool. There's not a single boxer on the planet that you can replace Mike Tyson with. So Jake finding a new opponent instead of waiting to fight him later this year didn't sit right with Tyson. Come on, when you're Jake Paul preparing to go up against the baddest man on the planet, you need to save your breath. Fighting two great athletes in a span of only 3 months isn't going to turn out in Jake's favor, and Mike is warning him about it.
Different date, same fate. I'm gonna knock out Jake Paul.
It's clear that Tyson isn't going to go easy on Paul. Yeah, he doesn't care that Paul's a YouTuber turned boxer. Mike has taken it as his responsibility to knock Jake out cold in the ring, and the whole boxing community is counting on him. Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul is one of the biggest fights of 2024, and you know that's not a stretch when Netflix gets on the fight. So, could Jake not have waited around till November? Why is he still going through with the July 20th fight? You'd normally expect a former Disney star to give it his all when he steps into the ring with none other than the face of the sport himself. Come on, this one is going to be Jake's toughest challenge in the ring yet, and I don't think he realizes what he's up against. There's a reason why every boxing promoter and commentator out there is advising Paul to give this one second thought. But Paul, on the other hand, isn't only taking the fight lightly, he's biting off more than he can chew. It's obvious that there isn't enough time for the boxer to fight Mike Perry, recover from the bout, and get good enough to face Mike Tyson in November. What is Jake even thinking? Well, he thinks he can do anything he wants. And while confidence is good, he's borderline overconfident, which will hit him like a slap in the face. Mike is known for his explosive anger throughout the years.
Jackie, you punk ass white boy. Come in and tell me that if I you and your white boy.
That's not a man you'd ever want to mess up with, and Jake's making a big mistake. Here's the thing. Jake, being Jake, loves taking shots at his rivals, and it's good for hyping up the fight. But there's a thin line between trash talk and disrespect, and Jake seems to always cross this one. Now, athletes like Nate Diaz and Tommy Fury often take what's thrown at them. But Mike Tyson? Oh, he strikes back, and he strikes back hard. Jake has been on Mike's bad side ever since he questioned the athlete's ability to step into the ring and put on a fight. Here's what Jake's forgetting, though. Mike's a natural and boxing runs through his veins. He's gearing up for the fight and training like a goddamn beast. Remember when I told you Mike recently had a health emergency? Well, that's because even at 57, Mike is training like he's still 25. He doesn't care if his body can't keep up with the intense workouts. This man's putting his blood, sweat, and tears to get ready for the epic bout. Now, if you ask me, he doesn't need to put in half the effort he is for sending Jake crashing onto the canvas. After looking at Mike's new training footage, you might even think that Mike might have forgotten the fact he's a boxing legend. This dude is training like a newbie gearing up for their debut. On the flip side of things, Jake is not only underestimating Iron Mike, but the problem child is preparing for a completely different bout. For those who might not know, Mike Perry is a former UFC fighter and a bare-knuckle champion. There's no denying that he doesn't have the same legendary status as Tyson, but that doesn't mean he's not a formidable opponent in the ring. Yeah, he's gonna pose some real challenge for Paul in the ring, and taking him down won't be child's play. Plus, if Jake loses, everything changes. Yeah, Mike Tyson and Paul have both put ink on the contract, but fans can't help but wonder if Mike would still want to go through with the fight if Paul loses to Mike Perry. Come on, if he can't come out on top against Perry, there's no way this YouTuber turned boxer is surviving Mike Tyson. Love him or hate him, Jake has sent shockwaves throughout the entire fight world with his rise in boxing, so you can't rule him out just yet. While his legitimacy as a boxer is still a big topic of debate, he's really taking up the challenge of fighting the scariest man on the planet. Standing in front of Mike Tyson is scary as it is. Going up in the ring with him, that's just a whole other level. Jake says that he has a plan, but everyone has a plan until they're punched in the face by freaking Mike Tyson. The boxing legend has lost his temper and he's pissed at Jake for fighting Perry before him. But that doesn't mean he's letting him off the hook. Mike has sworn to end Paul and he's not going to rest until he does it for once and all. That pad work is scary, and if I were Jake, I'd start trembling in my boots right about now. Will the former Disney star be able to handle his upcoming fights, and more so, will he be able to come out on top? A lot is on the line for Jake if he really wants to go ahead and become a world champion. Well, don't you all want to see Jake get a good beating by Mike? I don't know about you, but he really gets on my nerves with his backhanded comments sometimes. So what do you think about the whole Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul fiasco? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more boxing drama and updates. And hey, hit that like button too.